And now those Ipswich and Sunderland players will remove the tracksuit tops. Ipswich had the dark blue tracksuit tops on. It's been a huge day of Championship football so far. We started with a massive win for Coventry over Leicester that took the Sky Blues into the playoffs and reminded the Foxes that the title and automatic promotion is not secured just yet. Then in South Wales, Leeds kept up their chase for promotion with a big win over Cardiff City. And now we're here at Portman Road, arguably for the game of the day. Ipswich need a point to go back into the Championship's top two. Sunderland need a point to retake their place in the top six. We are your home of the EFL, and that is TalkSport 2. And it'll be Sunderland momentarily to get the game off and underway, playing from right to left in the first half in the familiar red and white striped shirts, black shorts and red socks, and Ipswich Town in the blue and white shirts, white shorts and blue socks, playing from left to right towards the Sir Ralph Ramsey stand over on the far side of the field as we look at it. The game is underway. And what a night in the EFL. Early touch for Agiolisi in the left-back position for Sunderland, and he'll steer the ball to the feet of Dan Ballard, who scored an own goal and conceded a penalty in the FA Cup defeat in the Tyne-Wear derby at the weekend. He floats the ball high up the middle, and it's all the way through to the Ipswich defender, Luke Wolfenden, in that long-sleeve shirt, almost at walking pace here, midway inside his own half the field. In the Premier League earlier, live on TalkSport, Chelsea won, Fulham 0 in the South West London derby. Newcastle against Manchester City is the 5:30 kick-off, and we'll keep you up to date with any goals as they go in. Ipswich have possession very early on here, but it's been given away by Jack Taylor, and Abdullah Barr looking to surge up towards the halfway line for Sunderland, who have certainly started with Joe Bellingham down the middle in the most advanced attacking role, as we expected, though it will be a Sunderland forward line that shows plenty of fluidity and flexibility as the game goes on. We've had a minute of play. Ipswich 0, Sunderland 0 here, and both teams need the points for slightly different reasons, though both are ensconced ultimately in a battle to return to the Premier League. Scott Minto.
Yeah, absolutely. Nothing much happened in terms of chances, obviously just in the first minute or so. I think it's more Sunderland who had the possession, but it's Ipswich who've been trying to press as quickly as possible, as both teams just feel each other out in the first couple of minutes.
So Southampton are up to second in the division at the end of the 3 o'clock kickoffs after a 4-0 win over Sheffield Wednesday. Unbeaten in 19 now, Southampton, but remember, a point takes Ipswich back above them and into that second automatic promotion spot. Big win for Leeds earlier too, away at Cardiff City. That was live on TalkSport 2. Leeds fourth in the Championship. West Bromwich Albion and Middlesbrough winners as well. Preston North End beat Bristol City. Birmingham 2, Swansea 2. Huddersfield 1, Plymouth 1. And Stoke City winners at Rotherham United. Ipswich have possession with Wolfenden. He's midway inside his own half the field, right on the edge of the penalty area, on a dark and chilly evening. Angles the pass out to the left-back position, and Lee Davis, who is back from injury tonight for Ipswich, part of 7 changes to the team that won at Wimbledon in the FA Cup last time out, last weekend. Broadhead now, midway inside the Sunderland half. The former Sunderland man pops it back to Lewis Travis, who's making his Ipswich debut tonight on loan from Blackburn Rovers. And now Wolfenden on the halfway line. Great noise around Portman Road. A sellout crowd again tonight. Not a spare seat to be had in this intimate venue. We're high up at the back of the main stand with a steep drop to the near side touchline below, and I can already see Kieran McKenna to the right of the halfway line and Michael Beale, the Sunderland boss, to his immediate left. Just a 6th game in charge for Michael Beale at Sunderland. Here is Clark for Ipswich, midway inside opposition territory. He's given it away, and Bellingham, peerless even at the age of 18, and would you believe it, his 50th career league appearance already at the age of 18, Scott Minter.
Incredible. Quite a talented family, you have to say.
Yeah, not bad. Well, interestingly, their dad Mark was a prolific scorer in non-league, 700 goals in non-league, or
is that
something
right?
like that in his career.
Wow.
So it does run in the family.
Yeah, absolutely, and I think the family, you've got to give them a massive pat on the back and say they have dealt with the talent of both their boys and the way they've handled both in just an A1 fashion. They really have.
So a point enough for Sunderland to move back into the top 6. It's a fascinating race for promotion from the Championship, and as ever, your home of the EFL TalkSport 2 will bring you all of the action, all of the goals, and all of the big stories between now and the end of the season. Adjulisi for Sunderland, forward to Jack Clark, arguably the player of the Championship season so far. Socks rolled halfway down his shins. He plays the ball back into his own half to the feet of Ballard. And now Luco 9 out to the right back position, and Trey Hugh forward into midfield, and Equa turns away from Jack Taylor of Ipswich and lays the ball square to the centre circle. Dynamic quick feet from Dan Neal to get the return pass from Bellingham onto Barr with the lime green boots on, and now Pritchard, couple of yards from the edge of the box, fires it high over the top. Was always rising and never likely to trouble Václav Hladký in the Ipswich goal. It's 0-0.
Yeah, a few things there. Really interesting to see how Joe Bellingham plays as that kind of striker. Might even be like a false 9. He came off, he laid the ball really well, and then I'm looking to see if he's got that natural instinct to try and then get into the box and see what happens. And by the time Alex Pritchard had that shot, it went over, but he was a good 20 yards away from the last line of defence. So he just needs to try and just think of himself as a striker for today. Jack Clark, you mentioned as well. I think he'd be really disappointed with his own performance last week. Very difficult. No one played particularly well, but he would have wanted to have been impressing. And I think the very next game, when you don't play well, you say, right, okay, I'm going to make sure the next one's a good one, and that's this.
That's the former Chelsea, West Ham and Charlton Athletic defender Scott Minto, as Ballard comes out of defence with possession for Sunderland. Away to our right-hand side as we look at it. Now Alisi finds Clark on the halfway line. Little touch from Pritchard back to Bellingham. Hoisted over the halfway line, up the left-hand channel, the near side of the field where Alisi is chasing. Harry Clark is there for Ipswich, but he's been shrugged aside. And Alisi is into the penalty area, pulls it back from the dead ball line, and Bellingham's shot is saved by the goalkeeper, Hladký. Didn't get enough power behind it. Ipswich have given it away, though. Sunderland have the ball back on the edge of the penalty area now. Opportunity for the crossing from the far side, and Alisi went up for it, couldn't get his head to it. It was his fellow fullback Hume who delivered. Consternation inside the Ipswich penalty area. Remember, Ipswich without a win in their last 5 Championship matches, and you can tell Scott Minto that they are a team slightly lacking in confidence. 0-0, 6 minutes gone.
Yeah, I've been there as a fullback a million times, Joe, where Harry Clark was, and you're looking to try and shepherd the ball out, but once you realise it's not going to happen, or the opposition player is right next to you, you have to keep the ball in play and almost roll in the other side. He didn't. At least he did really well, ran into the box, got to the byline, cut the ball back. Bellingham did well by actually trying to make sure it stayed on target, but you're right, there was enough power on it, and fair play to the Ipswich defenders. They must have got 5 or 6 players back in time, so good defending in the end after that initial mistake.
Both teams have injuries to contend with. Sunderland in particular have a long list of absentees. Ipswich without their inspirational captain Sam Morsey today. In fact, he's suspended for the next 2 games, including the trip to Leicester, which will bring you live on the TalkSport network. Indeed, Sunderland's next game away at home to Hull is live on TalkSport 2, and you're right, it's a massive blow to lose Morsey at any time. Here's Burns, right wing position near side, takes it down beautifully, crosses! Jackson stretching, couldn't turn it in from on the goal line. It's come back to Leif Davis on the far side, the Ipswich left. 0-0 the score. Infield to Jack Taylor, corner of the penalty area. Back it goes again. This time now to the feet of the debutant Travis, who's on loan from Blackburn Rovers. And now Wolfenden just inside the Sunderland half. Harry Clark has knocked it straight out of play, and that'll be a throw to Sunderland. Good direct wing play, though, from Wes Burns. He really is kind of like an old-fashioned winger, Scott.
He is. In the day of, inverted wingers, he's a right-footed player, playing on the right, and he's more than comfortable with that. Showed pace as well. At least they couldn't catch him. It was a great ball in. I can't criticise Jackson, really, because he did try to get in there as much as possible. Where we talked just a few minutes ago, Joe Bellingham wasn't getting in and expecting that something could happen. Caden Jackson was trying to do that. The ball had to be fizzed across, but because it was fizzed across so fast, he wasn't quite able to get on the end of it. But good play from Ipswich.
A rare start for Caden Jackson this evening. Just his 5th in the league this campaign. 2 goals for the season so far. Here's Travis stepping into Sunderland territory, wriggling away from Bellingham, but giving it away to Pierre Equa. Equa, who was at fault for one of the Newcastle goals last weekend. Ipswich 0, Sunderland 0. Here's an opportunity for Broadhead to spray the ball wide towards the far side, the left. Davis can't keep it in play, and it's a Sunderland throw in their right back position. You have to say, when you look at the Ipswich run of form recently, yes, without a win in their last 5, they have only lost once in the league in that 5-game winless run. And that was a thumping defeat away at Leeds United. Since then, 3 draws on the spin, and a draw enough to take them back into the top 2 in the Championship, though they would be 9 points behind the runaway leaders Leicester, even despite Leicester's defeat away at Coventry this lunchtime live on TalkSport 2. Sunderland had possession, had 9 minutes, and that Jackson opportunity on the stretch, plus the save from Hladky to deny Bellingham the chances that we've had in the game so far. So one chance apiece, really. Here's Ballard, the giant defender, on the halfway line, wide to the near side of Nalisi. Sunderland in their familiar red and white stripes tonight. It's blue against red here in Suffolk. And now Trey Hume on the far side, the cobbled stand side of Portman Road, and that's the side where the Sunderland supporters are housed. 2,000 or so. We can't see all of them because of the low-slung roof in the main stand, but they are there.
I was just about to say, can you see okay? What's going on?
I promise they are there, Scott. I promise. They're just hidden at the moment.
Is right in front of us.
I can hear them, that's for sure. And here's Barr trying to maraud on the far side, the Sunderland right. He darts in field, plays it square towards Pritchard. Good interception on the stretch by Jack Taylor to win it back for Ipswich, but then his pass square to Davis is a careless one. Out of play it goes, Sunderland throw. 7 changes for Ipswich today. We expected a raft of changes after the win at League 2 Wimbledon in the FA Cup. They will play Maidstone in the FA Cup in round 4, the non-league team.
It's a great story, that, isn't it?
Oh, it really
Brilliant
is.
Story. I mean, look, they probably would have wanted a Manchester United, a Chelsea, or, whatever, but Ipswich away, the way they're playing at the moment, it would be a full Portman Road. That'd be a fantastic atmosphere.
And Sunderland fans would have wanted, I think, a much more competitive display at times than they showed against Newcastle last weekend. They're great rivals. They were beaten by 3-0, particularly in the first half. I think Sunderland fans felt the performance was lacking.
Well, it was.
Here's Clark, left wing position, 12 goals so far this season, dribbling towards the corner of the penalty area, checking back onto his right side, throwing it back 10 yards to Alisi, who's midway inside the Ipswich half. Ipswich have everybody back behind the ball. Good interception by Travis, who has been far from a regular in the Blackburn Rovers side, despite Blackburn's recent slump in form. And that part of the reason behind his move to Ipswich Town on loan. Blackburn down to 18th in the Championship. They were beaten 4-1 at West Brom earlier today. Long ball downfield from the Ipswich goalkeeper Hladky, right up the middle, header away by Ballard in front of Jackson. 0-0, 11 gone.
Do you know what? Sunderland have played well, haven't they, really? Okay, yes, Ipswich look like they've had the best opportunities so far, with Caden Jackson nearly getting on the end of that Wes Burns cross. But actually, the way Sunderland have played, they've looked the more confident, and the passes have gone to their man. But there's been a couple of times for Ipswich, they've overplayed the pass and kicked it out, and slight groans from the Portman Road faithful, who are desperate to try and stay behind their team. But at the moment, it's been a positive start from the away side.
Well, football under Michael Beale is supposed to be a progressive affair, and he has promised a reaction from his Sunderland players after last weekend. And in fact, he says the response in training this week has been very good. They've had chats among themselves within the group, which is all very normal, of course. Nothing revolutionary about that, but training has been good, says Michael Beale, coming into a huge game tonight. And Sunderland, as it stands, will be back in the playoffs.
Yeah, I mean, the bottom line is they came up against a Newcastle side that I thought were absolutely spot on from the very first minute. I had a lot of pressure on them. Okay, they had a lot of injuries, but that first 11 still looked pretty good to me. But just the way it was built up and how fantastic the Sunderland fans were, the atmosphere they had, they'll be disappointed with that performance.
Great turn by Taylor, 10 yards from the halfway line, but then he angles the pass far too far to the left. It evades Jackson, it evades Davies, who loves to rampage forward as well, and out of play it goes for a Sunderland throw in the right back position. Now the infamous pillars in the way here, Scott, so you can take the left side, I'll take the right side.
Yes. But you know what, I love Portman Road.
It's a charming ground, isn't it?
It is charming, it's proper old school, and I say that with real fondness, but stuff like sitting in front of a post doesn't always help, does it? As long as it's not in front of a goal.
Well, it's a great pleasure to be here as always, live on TalkSport 2 for the EFL, a division that provides a set of divisions that provide so much excitement and so much drama. Here is Bellingham, Sunderland number 7, gives it away to Broadhead. Broadhead on the attack against his old team. Inside left channel, robbed by a retreating Bellingham, who then steps away from 2 in blue, tries to knock it forward towards the halfway line, passing a deflection off Broadhead again, and it's with the feet of the Ipswich defender George Edmondson, who's enjoying a run in the side. Hardly been a regular so far this season, Edmondson, but he's back in the team again tonight. In fact, he started the last 3 matches in League and Cup. And now he feeds his centre defensive colleague Wolfenden. Ipswich born and bred. Wolfenden nudges the ball to the right back position, and Clark, who turns away from Joe Bellingham, plays it back to the goalkeeper Hladky. Certainly very chilly tonight, not quite as cold as we were at the Chelsea Gantry last weekend.
I don't think it's as cold, really.
Ipswich on the attack with Davis, ball threaded infield towards the run of Connor Chaplin. Good work by Ekwa, pirouetting to turn away and win it back, but then he's robbed of possession by the retreating Jackson. Ipswich have it again now with Burns. Burns corner the penalty area on the near side right, drags it back across, first effort blocks, Chaplin went in for the second, Taylor in for the third, Sunderland scrambled it clear. Here is Burns, back to the edge of the penalty area again. Chaplin dallies in possession, but still holds on to it. Wide to Burns, pulls it back once more. Ekwa's clearance hits his own man, then Ekwa is fouled. Slide tackle comes in from Jack Taylor, who had 2 bites at the cherry there, and 3 opportunities inside the box for Ipswich to get a shot away. In the end, Taylor tackling from behind on Ekwa fouls him, and it's a Sunderland free kick. 14.5 minutes gone. Ipswich 0, Sunderland 0, but Ipswich, who've been on this disappointing run, their worst under Kieran McKenna, are growing into the game.
They are. It's a good period of play from the home side of that, there's no doubt, and we don't get a replay here, and I think it was Luca Nine who made a wonderful challenge, because Wes Burns, what he did was he doesn't need to actually get past his fullback, he just gets half a yard, he crossed it in. It was Jackson with the shot, and it was almost like he read the situation, Nine. He went down and deflected it really well. That was the best chance of those 2 or 3 chances in one. But there's no doubt about it, they've created a really good couple of chances recently, and they're definitely growing in confidence now, Ipswich.
And there's no doubt they have a great home record, the 3rd best in the Championship this season, and they've only lost one of their last 29 home league games. And going back, of course, to last season, that defeat was at home to Leeds United in August. A thriller. They lost it 4-3. Here's Taylor. Halfway line, forward down the middle to Jackson. Jackson holds up the play neatly and then threads the ball to the right-hand side. Burns is waiting to collect it again, and he'll run at the defender Elise. On his outside, crosses right-footed. Chaplin stretched forward, couldn't get there. It's come out to Lewis Travis on the edge of the penalty area. Then Bellingham sliding back to win it back. No foul on the edge of the box. Sunderland on the break with Barr, and he can't find Pritchard. The ball behind Alex Pritchard, the former Norwich City man, who may get 1 or 2 boos tonight. Out of play it goes for an Ipswich throw on the halfway line, and Ipswich seeing more of the ball in the game as well, Scott.
Only the 1 or 2 boos, I think.
30,000 maybe.
Yeah, we'll count them as they go. I'll tell you what though, it's a real good battle down the left-hand side of Sunderland, right of Ipswich. It's Wes Burns against Ajay Elise. And Elise's got to be careful. He believes he's got the pace on Burns, but Burns only needs to just take it half a yard one side and whip it around him, and he's done that twice now and looks dangerous, and Ipswich look dangerous when those balls come into the box. So Elise, whether he shows him inside, whether he gets someone else to try and get onto Wes Burns' toes so he doesn't receive the ball in the first place, he needs to do something, because at the moment Burns is having a bit of a field day.
Sunderland unbeaten away from home in the 2 games they've had thus far on the road under Michael Beale. Though going further back, just 1 win in their last 8 on the road in the league. In the Premier League, the 5:30 kick-off, it's still Newcastle 0, Manchester City 0. Manchester City could go second with a win in the Premier League tonight. Chelsea beat Fulham by a goal to 0 earlier on. In League One, the leaders Portsmouth beaten at home by Leyton Orient, but they are still top, though Peterborough closing the gap. And 2 games were abandoned. Reading and Port Vale abandoned after the protests of the Reading supporters against the club's owner, and you have to feel for the Reading fans, I must say. And Bolton against Cheltenham was abandoned as well because of a medical emergency in the crowd, and our thoughts are with the supporter involved and their family. Here is Pritchard for Sunderland, left-hand edge of the 18-yard box. He's got Clark further wide. Pritchard eventually finds Jack Clark, who's standing just behind him, taking on his namesake Harry Clark of Ipswich Town. And Clark has it again for Sunderland, though Elise plays the return ball far too far ahead of him, and Clark couldn't stretch control, and a little disjointed in possession all of a sudden are Michael Beale's Sunderland, 0-0.
Do you know what, just about an hour or so ago I went down to speak to Michael Proctor, who's assistant manager at Sunderland. I played with him at Rotherham, we had a good chat, but I didn't get a proper look at the pitch really, but the pitch looks really flat and really kind of zippy, and if it doesn't go exactly to the feet, feet and your weight of pass isn't perfect, the ball's going to go out. That's what happened to Ipswich 3 or 4 occasions in the first 10 minutes, and it's just happened in the last couple of times for Sunderland as well. So it's one of those where it's a typical modern day pitch, but it needs to be an absolutely perfect pass to go to the person that you want it to.
Good ball by Davis infield to find Broadhead, wriggle away from the challenge of Neil, and he looks to find the on-rushing Davis with the return pass, sliding in his Trey Hume in front of the Sunderland fans, and that'll be a throw to Ipswich on the far side in their left wing position.
I did ask Michael Proctor, actually, what the difference is.
Oh, and here's an opportunity for Jackson. He's in the box, and he got a very weak shot away, under pressure from the sliding defender. Tracking back, I think it was Luke O'Nine, and eventually the ball goes out of play for a goal kick to Sunderland. There was momentary excitement at the Sir Alf Ramsey end for the Ipswich fans, but Jackson didn't have any power behind that.
No, he didn't. It was actually really good play from Ipswich to create that chance, and again, that's where we're talking about Caden Jackson. He'll work hard, and he is a good player, but is he top level championship that will get your team to the Premier League? I'm not so sure. But no, I was speaking to Michael Proctor, and I said to him, well, what's the difference then between sort of Tony Mowbray and Mick Beale? And he sort of said, Tony was quite happy for us to take the coaching. He was, your kind of manager, whereas Mick Beale wants to take the coaching. He is your coach, and that's what obviously he's done for years, hasn't he? He's quite happy to be, and that's what he wants, to be hands-on, taking the process himself. Instilling already, because it's still very early days, exactly what he wants his players to do. So it's just interesting, the two different styles.
And Tony Mowbray, who got off to a decent start with Birmingham City 2-2 draw at home to Swansea in his first game in charge. And I say decent because it could have been worse. There was a 95th minute equaliser from Jordan James to give Blues a point. Ipswich, the team in blue tonight, 0-0 against Sunderland on TalkSport 2 with 20 minutes gone. We'll be into the Carabao Cup semi-final second legs in the not too distant future on the network, but we have FA Cup third round replays next week as the ball is dinked forward, a reverse pass by Broadhead towards Jackson, headed away by O'Nine for Sunderland, and now Neil takes up the charge. Over the halfway line to his right is Barr midway inside the Ipswich half, back to the halfway line again, and Neil is standing unchallenged. Joe Bellingham feeds Ballard, who's right at the lip of the centre circle. Ballard forward to Bellingham again. Tuesday night on TalkSport 2, Wolves against Brentford on TalkSport, Bristol City against West Ham in the third round replays, and then on Wednesday, Everton against Crystal Palace on TalkSport, and Blackpool against Nottingham Forest will be on TalkSport 2.
Just looking at Joe Bellingham and talked about a possible false 9. I think it's a false 8. He's dropping into his own half to try and get some of the ball. And you can see he's not necessarily comfortable being that last man, not looking to get on the shoulder of the Ipswich defence and ready for that ball over the top. He wants the ball to feet. So it's Alex Pritchard who's sometimes dropping in and filling in for Bellingham as that kind of the man furthest forward. But again, he's not going to be the type of person who's going to look for the ball over the top. So Ipswich can try and get as tight and compact as possible without worrying about that ball in behind.
And Sunderland have been linked, Scott, with a host of number 9s. Sam Gallagher and Kiefer Moore among those.
Sunderland or Ipswich or both?
Well, possibly both, because Ipswich have got George Hurst out injured, of course.
Absolutely.
That's really why Jackson's playing today.
Ipswich need a striker.
0-0.
Sunderland.
Forward by Davis, half the middle. Chaplin let it run, headed away by Alisi. I think Chaplin thought that Burns was coming in over his right shoulder to reach the ball, but Burns was actually 10 yards further towards the near side. Chaplin onto Broadhead, 5 yards to the edge of the box, tried to thread it through to Jackson. Shot was on there really for Broadhead against his old team, but his pass was easily intercepted. And now Sunderland counter, well held up by Barr on the halfway line. Back it goes to Ekwa. He's got his long hair tied up into a ponytail. And now Hume in the right back position, just strides gently over halfway. Nobody really putting the pressure on Trey Hume. And now Barr will see it back to Luke O'Nine midway inside his own half the field. And actually, since the early couple of chances for either team, Bellingham's shot saved by Hladky and Jackson not able to convert Burns' cross for Ipswich, it's been relatively uneventful in terms of life in front of goal in the game so far.
Yeah, I think there's only been one shot on target, isn't there? Is that right?
Yes, that's it.
According to the stats from Sunderland. Ipswich, I think, have come closest to scoring, but they haven't had a shot on target as yet.
Newcastle 0, Manchester City 1 in the Premier League. Bernardo Silva has given Manchester City the lead. They can go second in the top flight with a win this evening. Yellow card now for Harry Clarke after a poorly timed challenge on Joe Bellingham. And the Ipswich right back goes into the book. Back in the side tonight, having missed the FA Cup win over Wimbledon due to injury.
It's a tackle he doesn't need to make. Certainly not a yellow card tackle, which if you don't win the ball 100% is always going to be a yellow card, and now he's under pressure for the rest of the game. Can't afford to make any mistime tackles, and I can tell you from a fullback's point of view, if you've got anyone running at you, you've got to stay in your feet. You can't dive in, you can't risk that again. So I can't say inexperience from Harry Clarke, but certainly the wrong decision.
Ipswich 0, Sunderland 0, and Joe Bellingham just turns towards, I think, Michael Proctor, who is the man giving him instructions on the near side touchline just behind Michael Beale. Ball is clipped high downfield by 09. Bellingham is after it. He's brought it out of the air. He's on the edge of the box. He's laid it back to Pritchard. On to Jack Clarke. Good save by Hladky to turn it high over the bar off his legs in the end. Goalkeeper dived early. It ricocheted off his thigh, it looked like, looped up into the air and drifted behind it. It's a corner to Sunderland, and Clarke might have done better with that.
I talked just a few minutes before about how Bellingham is not playing on the last line and looking for that ball over the top. There he did, and it was a really well-timed run, really good ball. He laid it back, who then put it back to Jack Clarke first time. I actually feel Clarke should have done better, but Bellingham needs to do more of that. Just ask questions of the Ipswich defence in behind to make them stretched a little bit more.
Corner to Sunderland at the Sir Bobby Robson end of the ground. And in the lower tier, they are the most vociferous Ipswich fans. Lots of boos again for Alex Pritchard for his Norwich connections. Everybody back for Ipswich here. Ipswich 0, Sunderland 0. 25 minutes played on TalkSport 2. Pritchard shaping to whip this in high. Right-footed, perhaps in towards the near post. It is into the near post, headed away by the first man, Travis. Drops down towards the edge of the penalty area, headed square by Clarke towards Ekwa, then half glanced away by Davis from the edge of his own box. One back industriously by Barr. No foul given by the referee. Plenty in the middle for Sunderland. Barr with a great run in field. Couple of step overs onto the edge of the box. Now he finds Clarke. Snapshot in! Clarke beyond an unsighted goalkeeper, and Sunderland are ahead, and one of the Championship players of the season so far, Jack Clarke, is the man who's got it. His 13th goal of the season, and Ipswich Town, who can't buy a goal or a win at the moment, are behind again. It's Ipswich 0, Sunderland 1.
Well, first of all, Barr was allowed to just waltz into the box and waltz across it as well. He was going to lay it off to one player, but he saw Jack Clarke in a position that was not dissimilar to the shot he had just a few minutes earlier. Wow, what a strike. He was able to take a touch, and he put that in the near post, but in the top corner. And Hladky, I don't know what happened to him. He kind of I don't know if he slipped or what, but he was almost on his knees. But I'm telling you now, even if he hadn't slipped, he was getting nowhere near that. That was a wonder strike, and what a moment. In a game where we haven't seen great moments, that was a special one.
Unsighted the goalkeeper, maybe?
I think even if he was, mate, he wasn't getting anywhere near that, honestly. It was just a wonder strike. Maybe you could argue his positioning in the first place, because the ball came from the right-hand side. By the time that Jack Clarke had the shot, he was almost in the centre of the goal, where he should have been sort of left centre. But there was so much of a gap between him and the near post there. But it was a wonderful strike, it really was, where Clarke really didn't get hold of it just a couple of minutes earlier. He certainly did there.
He's enjoying the best scoring season of his career so far, and he is one of the hot properties in the second tier, Jack Clarke, and he's a name that, as long as he continues to produce form like this, even given how big a club Sunderland are, particularly in the Championship, it doesn't necessarily matter. There'll be clubs in the Premier League sniffing around, surely.
Look, do you know what? They're a massive club in terms of the history that they've had and the support base they have, but in terms of the budget, and clearly they're a team, one of many, fighting for not an automatic promotion place like Ipswich are, but top six, a playoff come the end of the season. If a Premier League club comes in with a decent offer, I can't see Sunderland turning that down, and that would be really heartbreaking almost for the Sunderland supporters, because Jack Clarke has been superb, and he can help, not on his own, but help drag Sunderland into the playoffs. It'll be very difficult if he's not around.
Ipswich 0, Sunderland 1. Ipswich trying to find an equaliser, but Caden Jackson can't link up effectively enough with Nathan Broadhead. It's been given away though by Sunderland to Burns, on to Clark, ran it into the area. Clark skips beyond one, challenge! And his low right-footed effort is turned away by the goalkeeper, Anthony Patterson. Glancing blow off the glove of the Sunderland number 1. It's a brilliant save to turn it behind. Ipswich threatening an equaliser. Straight away, they have a corner, they're 1-0 down.
Fantastic play from Harry Clark down the right, just shaped to cross. He didn't, took an extra yard, and then it's kind of a cross shot. I'll tell you what, that was very close, but great play from the Ipswich fullback.
Corner to be taken by Broadhead in front of the Sunderland fans. Right-footed in, swinging to the near post, cleared away with ease by Bellingham. Really poor delivery from Nathan Broadhead. You can hear the ironic cheers of the Sunderland fans who used to chant his name. Forward by Wolfenden from the halfway line, floated up the inside left channel, nobody in blue and white anywhere near it. Out of play it goes, and a reminder of what that Sunderland goal does to the table. Well, not only does it push Sunderland further clear above Coventry than they already were, with the score at 0-0, Sunderland into the playoffs 6th, and they'd be 3 points clear of Coventry, but it also means that Ipswich will drop back down to 3rd again, and Southampton will assume 2nd place once more on goal difference, after Southampton were big winners over Sheffield Wednesday earlier. Ipswich 0, Sunderland 1, and you can see, Scott Minto, for me anyway, that Ipswich are a team low on confidence at the moment. Yeah, they are. They're not quite zipping it about in the way they did early in the season. But look, that's to be expected. Again, I'll go back to the fact that Ipswich are chasing top 2 in itself is brilliant. But there's no doubt about it. They're there now. You know, they are going to be at worst in the playoffs. I don't see them falling out of it. They're that far ahead. But you know, you never know what can happen with the playoffs. So they're here now. They've got to try and find a way to get back to winning ways, and that's not going to be easy once you concede the first goal. TalkSport 2 and Sunderland lead at Portman Road. We've got more live football than anywhere else on national radio on the TalkSport network, including Euro 2024 from Germany coming this summer. To be across all the action, make sure you download the TalkSport app. You can swipe between both stations at your leisure. Half an hour gone. And the problem is, when you concede the first goal, is that the other team, because they're one up, they can control the tempo of the game in the sense that they can make themselves as compact as they want, or they can try and still attack if they want. They can decide what they want to do, whereas the team that is 1-0 down, they start trying to force it. Bellingham was fouled on halfway by Wolfenden. Referee played the initial advantage, and then Pritchard is sent sprawling by a retreating Jack Taylor. That's an obvious free kick again for Sunderland. Good refereeing from Sam Allison, actually, because there was a potential advantage there, albeit Pritchard was a long way from goal, and then Pritchard was tripped. Sunderland have the free kick, and Sunderland look relatively comfortable defensively. There was, of course, that effort from Clark that was well saved by Patterson, but other than that, the goalkeeper's not had any work to do. No, but there's a couple of good crosses from Wes Burns, and they look dangerous. Very good defending indeed. And, you know, again, apart from the goal itself, I think Ipswich have come or have looked most dangerous in terms of getting a goal, but it's all about sticking the ball in the back of the net, and Jack Clark, he knows how to do that, doesn't he? Failed to score in 3 of their last 4 in the league, Ipswich. Free kick from Pritchard, high to the edge of the penalty area, headed away by Edmondson, and now it's with the goal scorer Clark, who shot flash beyond Hladky. Couldn't really tell initially whether he'd slipped or whether he was just unsighted, the goalkeeper. Made no effort to save it. The ball is on the far side, down by the corner flag. Deep inside Ipswich territory. Sunderland are on the attack again here. Opportunity for Luke O'Nien to swing in a high cross. He'd already taken the ball out of play by the time he delivered the former Wycombe Wanderers man. And out of play it goes for a goal kick to Ipswich away to our left. And what a stalwart Luke O'Nien is in this Sunderland side, a long-serving player at the Stadium of Light, and only missed a single league game so far this season. An equaliser for Newcastle at home to Manchester City. Alexander Isak is on the score sheet, so it's Newcastle 1, Manchester City 1 in the 5:30 kick-off in the Premier League. Forward by Travis, lovely ball from midway inside his own half, up the right-hand channel, near side of the field. Burns controls, level with the edge of the 18-yard box, left-footed in, swinging cross, headed away by Ekwa, drops down towards Taylor. He's beaten by the bounce initially, but retrieves the ball in front of Barr nonetheless. Taylor down by the corner flag, tries to drive in field, but there's no way through beyond Trey Hume, or I think set a trap for Taylor there. Knew he was going to try and dart beyond him. Hume whipped it away. It's come back to Travis of Ipswich, and Chapin's touch, Jackson in! 1-1! Caden Jackson levels it up for Ipswich Town. A rare opportunity from the start for him, and a rare but very important goal. And Ipswich ultimately were not behind for long. Lovely touch by Chaplin to find him. Fine finish from Caden Jackson. Ipswich 1, Sunderland 1. Game on.
And they needed that, Ipswich, because not only did they go a goal down, but they were just having a bit of misplaced passes. And I'm not saying that the fans around here were starting to turn, but they did have a little groan or two. So to get that equaliser is really, really important, certainly in this half. It was a really good forward pass into Connor Chaplin, and as you say, a wonderful touch which left it for Caden Jackson, just sort of inside the 18-yard box on the left, but favouring his right foot, and he just stuck it into the far post. A really good finish. We talked about the quality or lack of Jackson. Well, I'll tell you what, he showed he can finish there.
Yes, he's probably shut us up with that one.
Well, you know, he's got to do that on a regular basis, but that was exactly what his manager wants him to do, and the opportunity comes in with Hurst being out. That's exactly what he needs to do. Lovely crafty finish, just opened up his body. He did. Held it beyond the on-rushing goalkeeper. Picture book finish, and it's Ipswich 1, Sunderland 1, and what an exciting game we have in prospect here. Sunderland would stay in 6th with a draw. Ipswich, importantly, would climb up to 2nd now that they've got themselves level. Tearing forward over the halfway line is Dan Neil for Sunderland. Wide to the left and Jack Clark. The game seems to be opening up now on TalkSport 2 in the 35th minute. Clark finding Neil inside the penalty area again. He made the return towards the corner of the 6-yard box, and he went in with a 50-50 challenge with Taylor coming across. Last touch off Neil, and despite his appeals towards the referee Sam Allison, it is a goal kick to Ipswich, and Newcastle have turned it around at home to Manchester City. Anthony Gordon has scored, and Newcastle lead by 2-1. It's a double whammy for Sunderland, that, isn't it? Yes, you're right. And their great rivals from the time are now in front, but it is only 1-1 here at Portman Road. Long way to go in both games. Absolutely. Edmondson rolls the ball back to goalkeeper Hladky, who has played every league minute for Ipswich this season, the goalkeeper. Now Wolfenden, they're having to play out from the back here, Ipswich, and Hladky looks uncertain. You can feel the nerves growing from behind the goal. Lots of shouts from those Ipswich supporters. Then there's a slip by Bellingham as Edmondson turns in neatly, feeds the ball towards the centre circle. Jackson went down under the challenge of 09. Referee says no free kick, and then that's a foul by Connor Chaplin, clipping the heels of Dan Neil, and a free kick to Sunderland midway inside the Ipswich half. It's ebbed and flowed a little bit, Scott Minto, but there are points in the game where you feel it's really about to take flight. The atmosphere is starting to build, and there are moments of real quality. Yeah, do you know what? It's not massively end-to-end. It's not a game of loads of chances, but it is a game where both teams are trying to win. And I was just thinking to myself, what would my prediction be right now? And I would not have a clue, because both teams look capable of winning, or obviously they could cancel each other out, and that's what you want in a football match. An entertaining game so far. 36 minutes played on TalkSport 2. Sunday session with Ian Dancer tomorrow lunchtime on TalkSport. All the goals as they go in around the grounds around the country. And then there's FA Cup third round replays on Tuesday and Wednesday. Friday night, Sunderland against Hull on TalkSport 2. Then next Saturday on the network, Arsenal against Crystal Palace, Swansea against Southampton, Norwich against West Brom. Make sure you download our free app. Easy to download. Sunderland have taken the free kick, square, and here is Hume hugging the far side touchline, dinking it up high for Pritchard. He's plucked it out of the air, he's played it in field, but Davis, having been eluded, he couldn't evade Broadhead. Broadhead steers it back to Taylor, who scoops it upfield, high through the dark evening sky. Now Jackson chasing forward the Ipswich goal scorer, putting the pressure on Patterson. He's knocked it out wide, the goalkeeper to Hume, who drives it high and long upfield. Well brought down by Bellingham with his back to goal. He evades the challenge of Davis and moves into a central position, then launches it back up to his immediate right, and Pritchard hoists it in high. Clark coming into the far post. Hladky, the goalkeeper, had to get that, and he did. On the edge of his 6-yard box, ended up sliding across the turf. Hladky, important take from the goalkeeper. Yeah, absolutely, but really good play from Bellingham again. He's, for a second time, he's looked for that ball over the top, and the ball came. Good first touch, laid it off. That time he tried to get into the box, but in the end, Ipswich defended well. And there's a throw on the near side of the field.
to Sunderland, which Elise will take.
How do you know?
The left back. I promise. I stood up. We got loads of cameramen in front of us and all sorts of scaffolding as well. But I promise you, Elise's got the ball in his hand. I can see him in the left back position.
Well, yeah.
And he's getting ready to take the throw. Ipswich 1, Sunderland 1 in the Championship.
Only because he's moved forward a couple of yards.
Well, yeah, absolutely. As Clark clears downfield for Sunderland. And it's all the way through to the Ipswich goalkeeper, Gladkin. You can feel a slight momentum shift in the game. An important moment that for Ipswich, who had struggled to score of late in the Championship, failed to score in 3 of their last 4 in the league, but they're level, and Caden Jackson has his first goal since October, actually, so a long, barren run for him is over.
Yeah, listen, important for him as a striker, stepping into George Hurst's boots, but also important for Ipswich to score this side of half-time. I think if it had gone in 1-0 Sunderland, I think just psychologically, there's all sort of, when that whistle blows, there's a big sort of groan, and, you know, the fans again are appreciative of what they've seen this season, what they've seen really since Kieran McKenna have come in, but there's no doubt about it, they would have been deflated. So for it to be 1-1, well, I say at worst, obviously Sunderland could still go on and get a second, but it's level, and as I say, this game could go either way.
He's done a remarkable job, Kieran McKenna, since taking charge. Not far off 100 league games in charge of Ipswich now. And he's only lost 11 of them.
Yeah, and the worry is, if Ipswich don't go up this season, which seems incredible to say, you know, would their best players be picked off, and actually would their manager be picked off as well? You know, you'd like to think that he's still learning in the job, and Ipswich is a wonderful club to try and learn his trade and get them back to the Premier League where they once used to be, but you just never know what can happen.
Davis, far side the Ipswich left, he's midway inside the Sunderland half, he's driving in field at good pace. Davis lays it square towards Chaplin, it'll run through to Burns. Burns dinks in the early cross to the far post, headed away once, twice by Ballard, it's come back towards Burns, he nudges it forward to Jackson, who spins, turns and shoots high over the top under pressure. He had his back to goal. Poor defending from Sunderland, really. Ballard's clearing header in particular didn't go very far, didn't go very high. That allowed Burns and then Chaplin to find Jackson again. Jackson looks like a man whose confidence has really been boosted by scoring that equaliser, but he was unlikely to be able to turn that into the top corner.
No, but he's looking sharp now, isn't he? He really is. You know, he missed a couple of chances beforehand, but you're right, since his goal, you know, he's running the channels. It was a really good finish there. It was a turn and wasn't quite able to hook his foot enough, but he is looking dangerous, and that is exactly what his manager wants from him.
5 minutes of the first half to go. Ipswich 1, Sunderland 1 in the EFL Championship on TalkSport 2 with McDonald's. Order McDelivery on the McDonald's app and get tasty rewards points. 18 plus. Terms and conditions apply. Hammered upfield by goalkeeper Patterson for Sunderland, all in bright yellow. The flick header by Elise, who was caught late by Burns in the challenge, that 50-50 on the halfway line. And a free kick to Sunderland, right in front of the 2 dugouts, where Kieran McKenna is standing with his arms folded, and Michael Beale, the former QPR and Rangers boss, just to his left. Still got plenty to prove for you as a head coach, Michael Beale.
Yeah, absolutely. He'll admit that himself, I'm sure. No, he hasn't been a manager that long at all. He's been an excellent coach. You know, I was speaking to Adrian Durham earlier, and he was questioning his tactics last week. I just think they were completely outplayed, and yet, you know, short of just saying, right, we're going to knock the ball long, I felt that Newcastle had the spot-on attitude, but there's no doubt about it, Steven Gerrard hasn't been quite the same manager since they've not been together. He has had years and years of experience in different countries as well, but it's different from being a coach to being the manager. He's definitely got a lot to prove, of course.
And what an opportunity to do it.
Great opportunity.
And a club like Sunderland. Good turn by Barr, wriggling away down the far side to Sunderland right. Blocks off by Edmondson. That'll be a free kick to Sunderland, about 10 yards or so from the corner of the penalty area towards the right.
He's a Bromley boy as well, which is local to me, so I do hope he does well. I think he started at Charlton, so
a bit of Bromley brotherhood here. Absolutely. Baby. Right then, what will Sunderland do from the free kick? Well, Ballard has already gone forward from centre half, and Luke O'Nien is lurking as well. Pritchard, the man for the set pieces, is standing over. A bit of movement in the stands. We've got Ipswich fans packed around the commentary position in the main stand here. Some of them are heading for the concourse areas ahead of half-time, but still 2.5 minutes or so of normal time plus stoppage time left. 1-1 the score at Portman Road. Ipswich have got everybody back. Plenty forward for Sunderland in red and white. Whipped in high by Pritchard. Down towards Elise. Got the initial header in. Ballard is up there as well. Tried to smuggle it home. Was he caught by the high boot inside the penalty area? Referee said no. Sunderland have it back. Pritchard delivers again. Header away by Edmondson this time. Towards the halfway line. Equa retrieves the ball. Back he goes to Hume, and the attack is over.
Yeah, I mean, it's Ballard is a centre-half. He perhaps didn't expect anything else, but if he just waited a second for it to come down, he might have had time to volley that. You know, from being that far out to try and head it in goal, he just kind of heading it on, really, rather than having a shot on goal. If he'd have just waited or fallen to an Alex Pritchard or a Joe Bellingham, maybe they would have dealt with that better.
Equa's driven it high and long towards Bellingham, smuggled away by Edmondson, not very far. Sunderland enjoying a good spell of possession all of a sudden. Neil has the ball in the centre circle, and Equa, little touch to his right from the Frenchman towards the far side of the field. And now Barr with the lime green boots on, skipping in field, good quick feet. Now he finds Hume towards the edge of the penalty area, and Pritchard crowded out by a sea of blue shirts. Again, Ipswich and everybody back defending there. 90 seconds of normal time to go in the first half on TalkSport 2. That's a poor ball by Equa, looking for his compatriot Barr. Two very young players in what is a very young Sunderland side, you have to say. Barr was never going to be able to stretch enough to keep that poor pass in play, and it's a throw to Ipswich in their left back spot. Scott Minter.
Well, look, 8 of their 11 players they signed in the summer are under 21, so you know there's an obvious that we all know about a philosophy with Sunderland, and it's going to be very difficult for Mick Beale to get them into the playoffs. It really is. When you look at the table, and you've got Leicester, Ipswich, Southampton, Leeds and West Brom, you would think would be that top 5, and then a host of clubs fighting for 6th spot. It's always exciting, that 6th spot come the end of the season, but don't want to be sort of doom and gloom, but I would be surprised, and I do think it would be a great job for Mick Beale if he were to get Sunderland into that 6th spot come the end of the season.
Well, they are there at the moment as it stands, back above Coventry, who were 3-1 winners over Leicester City earlier on, live on TalkSport 2. We also brought you Cardiff 0, Leeds 3 elsewhere in the Championship, Birmingham 2, Swansea 2. That Tony Mowbray's first game in charge of Blues. Huddersfield 1, Plymouth 1, Preston 2, Bristol City 0, Rotherham 0, Stoke 1. Rotherham rooted to the foot of the table. Southampton 4, Sheffield Wednesday 0, 19 unbeaten for Southampton. West Brom 4, Blackburn 1, and Millwall 1, Middlesbrough 3. 2 minutes of added time at the end of the first half here on TalkSport 2.
Can I just say well done to Russell Martin as well? Obviously, nothing's been achieved as such, but very difficult start to the season.
Cross from Burns, headed away by Ballard for Sunderland. The ball drops down midway inside the Sunderland half. Good interception by Bellingham to reach it in front of Lewis Travis. He's making his Ipswich debut tonight on loan from Blackburn. Now Elise for Sunderland in the left-back spot. Forward towards Neil. He turns away from Burns, and Elise nudges it forward towards the halfway line of the goal scorer, Jack Clark. Lovely silky footwork from Clark, but even he wasn't able to keep it in play right on the near side touchline. One of the great things about Portman Road is that the stands are very steep, so you get a sense, even at the back of the stand as we are here, of being very close to the pitch, and that really helps with atmosphere at a great traditional ground of English football.
Absolutely. Apart from the post and all the cameramen on the right-hand side, it's a great view. No, you're right. Because I feel like we're looking down on it, and yet we're still quite close. And there's plenty of stadiums where if you're high up, you feel like you're a million miles away.
Yes, one of the great commentary positions. Here's Edmondson trotting towards the halfway line for Ipswich. Threads it forward high up the far side left channel. Good interception on the slide by Trey Hume, and Sunderland win it back. 40 seconds of stoppage time to go, and it's 1-1. 0-9 for Sunderland. Midway inside his own half the field. Passages of play in the game in the first half where it's been quite frantic and frenetic, and then passages of play like we're having now, where this time it's Sunderland who are knocking the ball about with relative ease. Suddenly Taylor goes in with a strong press, and then the challenge on Equa, which is adjudged to have been a foul. I don't think there was much contact there, in all honesty, but Sunderland get the free kick. Midway inside their own half, so no danger for Ipswich here.
No. And are you dancing, or are you looking around that post?
I am dancing around the post. Looking around, of course. Forward by Hume, high up the middle. Header away by Wolfenden, and that is the end of the first half. And we're back underway at Portman Road for the second half. Ipswich 1, Sunderland 1, with myself, Joe Shannon, and the former Chelsea defender Scott Minto alongside me. If you're just joining us, no changes for either team at half-time. Ipswich in the blue and white, playing from right to left towards the Sir Bobby Robson end, where the most vocal home supporters are gathered, and Sunderland in the red and white striped shirts, black shorts and red socks, playing from left to right towards the Sir Alf Ramsey end of the ground. Again, where there are Ipswich fans. There are Ipswich fans at both ends of the stadium. Sunderland supporters are on the far side as we look at it. So no changes at half-time. Ipswich have got the ball midway inside Sunderland territory, though. Harry Clark has nutmegged Eckwer. He's threaded it to the left, and Davis 10 yards from the edge of the box. He shoots, and it's tipped away by Patterson, headed back across by Broadhead, steered away by Luke O'Nien from inside his own penalty area. Sunderland under threat right at the start of the second half. The rising drive from Davis dealt with well in the end by Patterson.
Yeah, really good start from Ipswich. Exactly what Kieran McKenna would have wanted. Look, we're back in the game. It's 1-1. Let's start this second half really positively. And we haven't really seen Leif Davis in the first half, have we? We know he's such a superb player and a Premier League player in the making. But this first half, we haven't really seen him being able to bomb on down that left. But there we got the shot in from about, 25 yards out that Patterson could only kind of push out and didn't push to the side, so he certainly didn't stop the danger there, but it's exactly the way Ipswich would have wanted to start, and that's exactly what I'm sure McKenna would have been saying at half-time.
You can see Kieran McKenna with his dark jacket on, hands in pockets on the near side touchline. Very small technical areas here at the very compact Portman Road. Steep drop to the near side touchline below from a commentary position, right at the back of the three-tiered main stand, just to the left of the halfway line. A ground that so often this season's produced not just tremendous atmospheres, but tremendous results in the Championship for Ipswich.
And lots of goals.
And lots of goals too. 1-1 the score. We've got Ipswich in possession now with Taylor, midway inside the Sunderland half. Out wide to the near side, and Davis back in field to Taylor again. I'll give you both sides again in just a moment. But Ipswich on the attack once more with Broadhead against his old team. Sunderland haven't really got started yet in the second half, though Barr has won possession back on the halfway line. He surges forward, tackled by Edmondson. That's the Sunderland throw, 10 yards into Ipswich territory, near side the right. And an energetic and pacey start to the second 45.
Absolutely, and not just from you, Joe. Honestly, what I like about it is that Ipswich are the home side. Obviously, as I say, they've been punched on the nose by Southampton. Okay, well, how are you going to react to it? They've reacted really well, but Sunderland have not just come here for the draw. They're trying to attack whenever they can, and from both sides, with Joe Bellingham, trying to get in behind when he possibly can as well. So this is not just one side wanting to win, another trying to stick for the draw. Both sides looking for the victory.
Sunderland on the attack now with Neil darting forward inside left channel, finding Joe Bellingham. Little flick back towards Neil, who continued his run. Good interception to clear it away from Travis, who was then sent sprawling. Free kick given by referee Sam Addison to ironic Ipswich cheers, though I have to say I think the referee's been excellent so far tonight. And it's a free kick to Ipswich, who have Hladky in goal. Clark, Edmondson, Wolfenden and Davis are the defenders. Travis just getting to his feet on his debut alongside Taylor in midfield. Burns, Chaplin and Broadhead behind the goal scorer Jackson up front. And for Sunderland, Patterson is the goalkeeper, with Hume, Ballard, O'Nien and Elisi the back four. Neil and Eckwer are the holding two. Pritchard, Clark the goal scorer, and Barr in support of Joe Bellingham, who is the man most of the time playing in that false nine role. I'll give you both sets of subs as well. Ipswich in possession with Clark. He finds Chaplin on the halfway line, hooks it up high down the far side channel, right wing position. Burns is offside. The Ipswich subs: Walton, Tuansebi, Aluko, Ball, Harness, Humphreys, Hutchinson, Ladapo and Jeremy Sarmiento, a recent loan signing from Brighton. And for Sunderland, Rusin, Bishop, Triantis, Bennett, Matete, Burstow, Alshish, Salt and Luis Semedo, also known as Hemir, are the Sunderland subs. And Sunderland have a free kick now in their left back position. Elisi takes it and gets the return ball from Bellingham. Nearly 5 minutes into the second half, and 1-1 the score. So Sunderland will go back up to second, up to sixth, and Ipswich will go back up to second, above Southampton in the Championship. Headed by Wolfenden, cushion headed by Taylor. Back to Wolfenden on the halfway line. Taylor, a man playing with a great deal of composure, having a greater run in the side now than he did at the start of the season, the former Peterborough man. And here is Davis in the left-back spot. Little touch to nudge it over the halfway line from Broadhead. And now Davis threading the ball upfield. Jackson can't reach it. Shepherded back by Ballard to his goalkeeper Patterson, whose clearance hangs up high in the dark evening sky. The floodlights are on. It's a chilly night. Travis a long way from goal for Ipswich. Through the middle though towards Jackson. And he could get the wrong side of Ballard here. Oh, he sent Ballard to ground. That'll be a free kick. Despite the Ipswich appeals, Ballard just about got away with one there, Scott Minter, because I thought for a second Jackson had got goal side.
Yeah, but he didn't, and Ballard again, I think that was really good defending. Yeah, it was a really good battle to see who could get to the ball first, and because Ballard just gave himself that extra half a yard, he was able to get there, and then once Jackson had to come round him and went the other side, he did foul Ballard, or certainly made contact, and if you're going to feel the contact when you're under pressure inside your own box, you're going to go down.
Silky footwork from Dan Neal to thread it over the halfway line and set up Jack Clark, who's on the run. Clark driving towards the edge of the penalty area, nudges it square with his right foot, and Clark was barged into by Taylor. An obvious foul and a yellow card out of the pocket of the referee. The obvious decision from Sam Addison, not just to give the free kick but to award a yellow card as well. And it's a free kick to Sunderland, right on the edge of the box to the left of centre, and it's set up perfectly, surely this, for the right boot of Jack Clark.
Yeah, absolutely dangerous position this, isn't it? We've already seen him stick one in from the inside left position. This now a set piece, not always easy to sort of get it up and down, and it's a little bit wider than he would have liked, to be honest with you, maybe 5 yards wider than he would have liked, but it's a guessing game, isn't it, between him and the goalkeeper. He won the battle when Sunderland got their goal, and Jack Clark scored it himself with the keeper going one way and him going the other. Now, can he get it up and over the wall, but which end is he going to put it in?
Well, it's Pritchard, the former Norwich man, who's placed the ball down in the end, about a yard from the edge of the box, left of centre, 4 men in the Ipswich wall, everybody back in blue and white, and a key moment early in the second half. 7 minutes played in the second period on TalkSport 2. 1-1 the score. Pritchard stands a couple of yards from the ball. He runs forward, he hits it right-footed, and it's a couple of yards over the top. May have been going slightly wide of goal as well. Hladky, the goalkeeper, all in green, was scrambling. Out of play goes for a goal kick to Ipswich.
Yeah, it's a difficult one, isn't it? I mean, if I'm Jack Clark and I've scored and I'm having a wonderful season, I'm saying to Alex Pritchard, let me have it. But Pritchard clearly good at set pieces, very good at set pieces. In fact, he'd almost need to be David Beckham-like to get it up and down and with pace and power and beat a goalkeeper from there.
That's the difficulty, isn't it, Scott? Some free kicks can almost be too close to the edge of the penalty area.
Absolutely.
Because you don't have time to bring the ball down again. The ball is with the Ipswich goalkeeper Hladky. Slightly clumsy square pass to the feet of Wolfenden. Now in the right back position is Clark, and he feeds Travis. Travis looking very composed on his Ipswich debut. Neat touch by Burns. Back to Chaplin on the halfway line. Drives infield straight away. Little touch forward by Taylor. Little touch back by Burns to Chaplin again in the centre circle. Wide to the near side and Davis. Davis midway inside the Sunderland half. Back towards the halfway line and Edmondson, who's just in Sunderland territory. Edmondson under only token pressure. Looks to float it up the near side left channel. Intercepted on the slide by Hume. Davis there, the left back, to retrieve the loose ball for Ipswich Town. 1-1 on TalkSport 2. Given away by Wolfenden, straight to Joe Bellingham. Travis had to slide in, firm but fair, but he's hooked the ball into the path of Barr. Barr on the attack for Sunderland now. Marauding infield from the right-hand side, tackle from behind by Edmondson. Free kick. And another yellow card. That's 3 yellow cards now for Ipswich Town. In fact, is the yellow card going to go to Travis? It is, for the initial challenge earlier on, it looked like.
Interesting, but
referee got his card out quickly, and then seemed to wait.
Well, it was Edmondson who made the final one, which I thought was a yellow card. I'll tell you what, Barr looks dangerous, isn't he? Whether it's on the outside or on the inside, two-footed, is able to dribble with his left or his right foot. Very difficult for a fullback or any defender to defend against the person who is happy to not just go either way, but dribble with either foot.
The atmosphere in Suffolk I would describe as nervy. It's not as raucous.
It's anxious, isn't it?
As this stadium can be, or has been on many an occasion this season. Nervy atmosphere here. 1-1 and a free kick to Sunderland. Pritchard over it, 10 yards to the edge of the box. Dinks it in high, right-footed, up go the heads. Ballard went for it, so too did Luco 9. It's going to trickle behind it away. Goal kick given by the referee as we tick towards the 10-minute mark in the second half. Lots of live football coming your way on the TalkSport network. Sunday session on TalkSport tomorrow from 1. We'll have all the goals as they go in, 1:30 rather. And then on Monday morning from 6 a.m, Jeff Stilling and Ali McCoist will be back with you on TalkSport Breakfast to dissect dissect all of the weekend's football. Tuesday, Wolves against Brentford and Bristol City against West Ham are our FA Cup third round replay commentary matches. Wednesday in the replays, Everton against Crystal Palace, Blackpool against Nottingham Forest. Friday night TalkSport 2, Sunderland back in action again as they take on Hull. Next Saturday, Arsenal against Crystal Palace, Swansea Southampton and Norwich against West Brom. Make sure you download the TalkSport app to be across all of the action. You can then swipe between both stations at your leisure. Back pass from Hume all the way to his goalkeeper in bright yellow, Patterson. Now Jackson goes down, was caught off the ball there by Luco 9. And boos and whistles from the home supporters. No great appeal from any of the players on the pitch, nor from Kieran McKenna. But Sam Allison has stopped the game. Jackson looks towards, glares at Luco 9. Was there anything in that, I wonder?
Do you know what? No idea.
We saw it late, didn't we?
Yeah,
you follow the ball and you
went. Yeah, absolutely. You follow the ball, and there must have been some kind of contact. Jackson wouldn't go down just for the sake of it, but no. The fans obviously are wanting to think there's some kind of elbow off the ball, and therefore he should be getting sent off. It's not going to happen.
Connor Chaplin now having a word with the referee. Arms outstretched and not happy. I don't think he's talking about the decision. I think he's talking about perhaps where the ball is going to be given back to Sunderland from, possibly.
Well, it should be, because Sunderland had the ball.
It has been given back by the referee to Ballard. Remember, drop balls are uncontested these days. Forward by Alisi, high to the halfway line. Little touch in field by Clark to find Dan Neil. Neil floats the ball high over the left-hand side towards Clark again. Good work by Harry Clark for Sunderland. Stretching and then sliding, not once but twice, to hammer it high over the halfway line. Jackson's a willing runner up that far side channel. Goes in 50-50 with Ballard. Last touch off Jackson, and it's a Sunderland throw. Heading towards the hour mark, and the Ipswich fans starting to get frustrated now. Ipswich 1, Sunderland 1. Sunderland took the lead and Ipswich pegged them back. Both goals coming in the first half. The ball is with the Ipswich goalkeeper, Václav Hladký. It's a sort of game, Scott Minter, where it feels like it's in play for either team, but who can take the game by the scruff of the neck? Davis striding forward for Ipswich, up towards the edge of the box, pass all too easily telegraphed towards Jackson, easy interception, though well read by Luco 9.
Yeah, absolutely. Again, you know, you can't call this. What I would say is I think Ipswich has started the second half the better, but we saw them have or go close to scoring in the first half, but it was Sunderland who got the first goal. You just never know.
Good turn by Pritchard, and he floats it high up the middle towards Bellingham, headed away. It's come back down to Dan Neil, lays it square to Abdullah Bar, goes for goal from a long way out, and it's a screamer that curls high over the top. Ambitious.
Absolutely. I've got to say, you have to be some strike to get it in the top corner from there, 30 yards out. We know that Craigley had a bit of a nightmare with the goal he conceded, but he wasn't going to be beaten from there unless it was an absolute pile driver.
Ipswich without a home win over Sunderland since September 2017. That was a thriller, a 5-2 victory. Not been quite as exciting so far tonight, certainly not for the home fans, but it is finally poised with the scores level. I can see substitutes from Ipswich and Sunderland warming up on the near side touchline. Very small gap between the stands and the field of play. The supporters are right on top of the action here. Ipswich have the ball with goalkeeper Hladký. Forward to Taylor. Turns away from two in the red and white striped shirts. And now Travis with Ipswich playing from right to left in the second half. Harry Clark. Ball infield to the centre circle. And Jack Taylor again. Taylor lays it square to Edmondson, steers it forward over the halfway line to Davis, hugging the near side left channel. Back infield to Taylor. Forward 10 yards to Broadhead. Scuffles the ball back to the halfway line, and Edmondson. Taylor calling for options, and his pass lacked weight and power and accuracy. It was intercepted by Ekwa. Ekwa threads the ball forward to Pritchard in the centre circle. A very neat 1-2 with Neil, who gets to the ball on the bounce and is beaten. Burns to it. Burns second to it and fouls Neil. And if there's going to be consistency from the referee, then I hate to call for yellow cards in a game, but that probably should be a yellow card.
No, you're out of order, Joe. How dare you call for a yellow card? I'll tell you what it was. It was first of all, it was the press from Ipswich, but Sunderland did really well in midfield, playing little 1-2 touch passing to get themselves out of it. And Neil, he got just in front of Burns there, and you could say it was a professional foul, and therefore it should have been a yellow card. But I'll tell you what, if Neil was able to just stay on his feet there, he would have been right at Ipswich's back four.
This is TalkSport 2. Here is Bellingham with his back to goal for Sunderland. He's been tackled by Wolfenden, and the ball deflected up onto the hand of Bellingham in the same instance, free kick given to Ipswich, and half of Portman Road, or most of it, on its feet. The ironic cheers for the referee. 1-1, and just confirmation of that yellow card earlier that we thought was for Travis. It actually was for Edmondson in that little incident earlier on. Edmondson was the man who was booked.
It made sense. He was the one who dragged Barr back.
Ball is back with the goalkeeper Hladky. A stalemate in the second half so far. Now gone. Taylor darting forward over the halfway line and threading it high and long. Too long for Jackson. And it was the obvious ball as well. Jackson was sandwiched in between the two centre-halves and he was never likely to reach it. Balled up quickly by Patterson, the goalkeeper. Dinked upfield by 09. Diving header to intercept on the stretch by Taylor, who's hurt himself. It looked like he might have overstretched there. Back to his feet, Taylor. Forward by Davis. Chaplin dinks it wide to the left, and Broadhead, who crosses in. Header away. It's come back to Connor Chaplin to shoot. Blocked at the near post by 09. He took it down with great confidence there. Connor Chaplin, last year's League One Player of the Year, struck it fizzing towards goal from the angle, but 09 got the footing to clear it away. And now Hume in the right back position for Sunderland. He's nutmegged Taylor. Hume streaking over the halfway line, whipping the ball crossfield from right to left. Excellent covering header from Harry Clark to get above his namesake Jack Clark. Oh, and now it's back with the goalkeeper Hladky, who can pounce on the loose ball.
Yeah, Hume did really well first of all, going past two players, and then he almost, trying that Hollywood 50-yard ball where he didn't need to. It was a real opportunity for the counter-attack, and decent defending in the end from Harry Clark, just heading it back.
And the noise levels starting to rise at Portman Road. Another sellout crowd here of just shy of 30,000 expected. Ipswich, who haven't played Premier League football since 2002. Here is Harry Clark surging forward for them. Early ball up the middle towards Jackson. Again, it's intercepted this time by Ballard. With a loose ball, the second ball is retrieved by Burns for Ipswich. And now Taylor spins and turns. Midway inside the Sunderland half. Nudges the ball wide with the outside of his boot to Davis. Davis threads the pass along the outside edge of the penalty area, where it's come back to Travis via the half interception of Pritchard. Travis wide to the far side. Burns first time cross. Blocked by Alisi. Appeals for handball. The referee and his assistant both say no. 1-1 the score on TalkSport 2. Little touch by Burns to Travis again. Level the edge of the 18-yard area. There always seems to be drama in games involving Ipswich Town in particular. Harry Clark has won it back on the far side. Infield it goes to Taylor. Taylor corner of the box. Tackled by Pritchard. It's come back to Harry Clark. Little quick feet to knock it onto Chaplin. Back to Harry Clark! Good save by the goalkeeper. Rebound comes towards Taylor. Not away just yet. Broadhead tries to meet it. Steered upfield by Bellingham. What a chance for Harry Clark to put Ipswich in front.
Brilliant play though from Clark, I have to say. First of all, he won the ball back and then just bombed on. Really good pass to him. The ball was just a little bit too close to his feet. He tried to get it out a little bit, but he wasn't able to get a proper strike on it. But still he hit the target and the keeper wasn't able to hold it. So good play from the right back, bombing on there. First of all, winning the ball back and then creating that opportunity almost for himself.
Kieran McKenna applauds from the near side touchline. There's activity down below us here. I think Sunderland are going to make a change. It's hard to see exactly who's coming on, but there is certainly a substitute stripped and ready to go in the red and white of Sunderland. 1-1 after 63 and a half minutes on TalkSport 2 in the EFL Championship with McDonald's. Order McDelivery on the McDonald's app and get tasty rewards points 18 plus. Terms and conditions apply. Now then, ball is back with the Sunderland goalkeeper Patterson. Launches it square to Ballard. On a chilly evening in Suffolk now. 2,000 Sunderland supporters among the strong sellout crowd. The ball is with Ekwa, midway inside his own half. Ekwa, a player of elegance in midfield. And the player that Sunderland are going to bring on very shortly is another Frenchman, Adil Al-Shish, a former Lorient player. And it'll be Barr, his compatriot, who is going to come off. And Al-Shish with the gloves and the pink boots on, as Michael Beale makes the first change of the game. Scott Minto.
Slightly surprised. I think Barr has done well whenever he's got the ball. Perhaps not been in the game as much as Michael Beale would like, but whenever he has got the ball, again, we talked about the ability to either go inside or on the outside with either foot as well, and I think at times when he has been on the ball, he's looked dangerous.
Sunderland, remember, need just a point to move back into the playoffs. 6th was where they finished last season, beaten in the playoff semi-finals. Then Tony Mowbray's Sunderland by Luton Town. Tony Mowbray, who began his reign as Birmingham manager with a 2-2 draw at home to Swansea. Elsewhere, Coventry big winners over Leicester, 3-1. Leicester, who finished with 10 men. And we're 1-0 up. Ipswich, as it stands, would move back into second and cut the gap to Leicester to 9 points. Leicester against Ipswich will be live, and not next Monday, but the Monday after, Monday week, on the TalkSport network. The ball is back with Patterson, the Sunderland goalkeeper again. Once more it's hit forward to Ballard. We're heading towards the final quarter of the game. Ballard's knocked the ball long, high up the inside left channel, and Clark athletically gets beyond Bellingham to send it spiralling back to his goalkeeper, who's nearly caught out. It's one back, it's Ashish, he shoots, it's just wide! Somehow Sunderland failed to take advantage as Ipswich were caught out at the back. Ladke and Wolfenden were sleeping, and Ashish, who's only just come on with his first real touch, he hit it right-footed, he hit it just an inch or so wide of the near post. It should be 2-1 to Sunderland.
Well, look, if Barr was still on the pitch, I don't know if he would have been in that position, but I do feel he would have at least have hit the target there. What a wonderful opportunity inside the box after the muck-up of the Ipswich trying to play the ball out, and in the end he doesn't even hit the target. My goodness me, it's almost shooting practice that, and you don't often get that amount of space right in front of goal inside the 18-yard box on a match day.
What a miss from Ashish. He really should have turned that in, but he couldn't, and it's a big let-off for Ipswich Town. 1-1 it remains here on TalkSport 2. Both teams, by the way, tend to score late in matches, which is encouraging for both as we head into the final quarter of the game now.
It's a 2-2 then, is that what we're saying?
Well, quite possibly, although that said, Scott, Sunderland haven't dropped a point in games this season when they've taken the lead, so for Ipswich to fight back really does say something about the resolve of Kieran McKenna's team against a team who are very good when they go ahead in matches. It's Dominic Ball who's going to come on for Ipswich very shortly, and there are two others as well, Jeremy Sarmiento and Amari Hutchinson. They're the three who are going to come on, and Jackson, the goal scorer, is the first to leave the field, and he will get, I think, a deserved standing ovation for the work rate, the effort that he's put in. Ball for Travis, the debutant, is the other change. That'll be a straight swap, and Burns also coming off, and here comes Amari Hutchinson, who's looked very exciting at times this season, the man on loan from your old club Chelsea.
Absolutely, absolutely. And whether he can make it into the Chelsea first team, we'll have to wait and see. There's only about 86
yes.
pros.
How many players are out on loan at Chelsea?
But I tell you what, he's a talent. He's a talent, and he's playing for his career. There's no doubt about it. It's positive substitutions, you have to say, from Kieran McKenna. He wants to win this game, and yes, they go back into second with a draw, but they lose 2 points over the weekend by Southampton winning, so they want to try and still keep that 3-point gap if they can.
Exactly that. And Sunderland look the more likely at the moment to win the game, and maybe that's provoked the triple change from Kieran McKenna, perhaps. You'd have to say it feels like it. Now then, Sarmiento has gone out to the left-hand side, and Broadhead darting down the middle in the central role for Ipswich Town. Wolfenden will get across to shepherd the ball back to his goalkeeper, who's under pressure from a tight angle. Wolfenden hooks the ball clear, only as far as Pierre Ekwa, 40 yards from goal, juggles it over the head of Sarmiento. And Jeremy Sarmiento, on loan from Brighton and Hove Albion, made his debut off the bench in the FA Cup third round. The win at Wimbledon last weekend, as Hutchinson gets a tackle in. That's a throw to Sunderland on the far side, which Elise will take. And Michael Beale did get some criticism last weekend for the use of just one substitute, and very late in the game when Newcastle had all but wrapped up the match. He's already made his one change so far, and the man who came on, Adil Ashish, should have put Sunderland back into the lead.
Absolutely. Sunderland might not get a better chance than that, but what you do have to say is, while Ipswich have the possession and, you know, they're sort of very good around and up until the Sunderland box, it's Sunderland who are playing on the counter-attack, and they do look dangerous at times, able to create chances when they have that counter.
Still Newcastle 2, Manchester City 1 in the late kick-off in the Premier League. There's a foul on the near side by Ekwa on Taylor, and the Ipswich fans out of their seats in front of us, arms outstretched, want a yellow card, but they're not going to get it from the referee. Free kick taken by Dom Ball, who is a tall presence in midfield, the former QPR and Tottenham player. Very rarely a league starter at Ipswich Town is Ball. He'll be the sitting man in that midfield two of Ball and Taylor. Driving infield from the left-hand side is Davis. He's 10 yards to the edge of the penalty area. He's touched it onto Broadhead. Flag goes up against Broadhead. Just as he made his way into the penalty area. Good defensive line from Sunderland indeed. Neil has turned towards the back four and applauded them all. Broadhead did look offside when the ball was initially played. And with 20 minutes to go of normal time, are Ipswich running out of ideas a little, it feels like, in attack, because Sunderland continues to look the more likely. Here is Jack Clark, level the edge of the 18-yard box, heading for the dead ball line, twisting and turning onto his right side. He's played it backwards now to Elise. Elise out to the far side, the left now, and Pritchard with the white boots on. Pritchard scampers in field, finds Neil. Neil faced up by two in blue, so plays the sensible ball back to halfway. Scott Minto.
Yeah, absolutely, and again, still no idea how this is going to finish. Both teams look wanting to try and get the win. You say about Ipswich devoid of ideas a little bit. Well, that's why Kieran McKenna has made the substitutions he has. Need a couple of minutes to get used to the pace of the game, but I do expect them to create more chances. But that will also, for Sunderland, mean that if they can counter-attack very quickly, and maybe there'll be open spaces for them to exploit.
And if Ipswich were to go 1 win in 6, that would really feel like losing ground in the race for promotion.
Yeah, again, glass half full, half empty. You drop 2 points compared to what Southampton have done. It's 1 win in 6, but you've still kept that second place. But what it does mean is, there's not the 3-point gap anymore, just the one.
Here is Wolfenden. With his blonde hair, midway inside his own half the field. He's been dispossessed by Pritchard, and Wolfenden got very lucky. Pritchard, having made the tackle, went down and has hurt himself. Pritchard is hurt, and he's not getting up to his feet. He's having to be helped by the Ipswich goalkeeper. Meanwhile, at the other end, Ipswich trying to counter. Pritchard is back onto his feet now, but still limping. Here come Ipswich with Chaplin. Far side there right. Infield to Amari Hutchinson. Shot is deflected behind off 09. It'll be an Ipswich Town corner. 18 minutes to go. 1-1. Pritchard is moving again, and Ipswich, from getting very lucky at one end, nearly scored at the other end.
Yeah, very quick counter from them this time, and good play down the right-hand side. And again, you have to say it was good defending from Sunderland. I thought it might have come off one of the Ipswich players just running across the goal, but again, they're getting numbers back, aren't they, Sunderland?
It'll be Davis to take it. It'll be in swinging. It'll be left-footed into the edge of the 6-yard box, headed away by Ballard, high up into the sky, nodded down by Jack Taylor, smuggled away by Ballard again. Now it's Sunderland having to fend off some Ipswich pressure here, as both sides look for a potential winner. It's gone quite quiet again at Portman Road. Wolfenden midway inside the Sunderland half, teases the ball to the right, and Clark forward now to the dynamic Hutchinson, who's made another good run. He's got support from Sarmiento Square. Hutchinson twisting away initially from the retreating defender, and he's still got it, and he's set up Sarmiento down by the dead ball line, sees it onto his left, only half away. It's come back to Hutchinson, blocked by Equa. Excellent work from Hutchinson, and Sarmiento, who turns to the crowd. He turns to the Sir Bobby Robson stand. He wants more noise from the stands. They so nearly had a shooting opportunity there.
Brilliant work from both of those wide players, but again, you have to say, fantastic defender from Sunderland.
It's Hutchinson again, 5 yards from the corner flag on that far side, the right wing. Looking good as an impact sub already. Level with the edge of the 18-yard box, and now he crosses in high, left-footed, the reverse ball. Headed away by Trey Hume for Sunderland. It's dropped down towards the near side on the Ipswich left. Davis bundled over by Al-Shish. That was such a clumsy challenge, and a free kick to Ipswich in a dangerous position.
Do you know what? That's such a winger's tackle. It's so frustrating if you're a defender. You don't need to make that. Leif Davis.
Why did he do it?
I don't know. He's trying to show that he's keen and he wants to try and press as much as possible. But you also have to be sensible that you're not going to get. The only way you're going to get the ball is actually going through the player, and therefore now it's gone from a throw-in to a free kick that they can stick in the box.
Davis will take it. It's 1 yard infield from the near side, the left, level with the edge of the penalty area. Davis delivers high, left-footed! The stomping header is in, and would you believe it, it's Connor Chaplin! One of the smallest players on the field, rising majestically to head Ipswich into the lead. The race for promotion to the Premier League is really hotting up, and Ipswich maybe are back in the running. Ipswich 2, Sunderland 1.
And I was just about to say, but didn't have time, was he stepped up, Leif Davis, to take that free kick in. That Al Sheesh should be thinking, do you know what, I've had that miss down the other end, well, practically my first touch. Now I've given the ball away, please don't go in the back of the net. Well, I tell you what, that was a good cross, but it was a wonderful header from Chaplin, because he still had so much to do. First of all, it was his movement, running across a couple of Sunderland players, and then it was the power of his header and the direction of it as well that gave Patterson no chance whatsoever. Not the tallest, but that was almost like an Alan Shearer and Mark Hateley type header. Wonderful goal, and they could be 3 crucial points.
Can you believe it, Scott Minto? Because Connor Chaplin has got to be one of the smallest players, just about the smallest player on the field, and he just leapt above the Sunderland back line to find the top corner with a header. Absolutely remarkable. And Ipswich lead by 2-1. And here they come again with Sarmiento trying to burst up the middle. His run is halted by Dan Neal, who was then fouled, and that will be a free kick.
Do you know what? It goes to show that it's not all about height, it's about movement, and then it's about timing of the header. And both of those were absolutely superb from Chaplin. You don't expect that type of goal from him, but boy, has he delivered there.
He's only 5'6", Connor Chaplin. But he's headed home his 9th of the season. You have to say it feels like Ipswich's most important goal of the season so far.
Do you know what? It makes it even more disappointing from Mick Beale's point of view. The fact that, you know, how did you concede a set piece? Well, who scored? Someone who's 5'6". Well, how did that happen? You know, again,
it's extraordinary.
It is, but I'm not sure he was meant to be picking him up. But what I could see is the movement from him, again coming from back post to near post. But he was still about, you know, level with the penalty spot. So it's a wonderful header, great movement, great header, still using his neck muscles to create the power. It wasn't just a question of a little flick on. He had to generate the power himself as well. Wonderful goal.
He's only 1 goal away from 54 Ipswich. Connor Chaplin. Newcastle 2, Manchester City 2. Would you believe it? Kevin De Bruyne. First goal for him since his return from injury. It's made it 2-2.
Yes, I would.
At St James's Park. Yeah, I'm not that surprised either, in fairness. Now Clark driving in field, getting the 1-2 from Pritchard. Jack Clark played it square, nobody there in red and white. Hammered upfield by Edmondson and away from danger for Ipswich Town. And now Ball trying to stride upfield, intercepted by Ekwa, sliding in to win the ball back. Clark making things happen all the time for Sunderland. Pritchard likewise, but they don't really have that number 9 to be on the end of those.
Absolutely. Again, I was looking at Joe Bellingham, almost called him Jude then, looking at Joe Bellingham, and, you know, again, the striker's natural instinct will go with the ball and see where he is, and Jack Clark was just wanting someone, just as he flicked it inside, to read that, what he needed to do, the only thing he could do, and Bellingham didn't read that in the end.
Quickly taken free kick by Clark, and at least he could be in. Angle tight inside the area, plays it square, and it's missed inside the box, but it's come back to Hume to divert it across goal again, steered away by Edmondson on the edge of his own 6-yard box for Ipswich Town. 2 nervy moments, 2 good crosses in quick succession, and again it was that man, the substitute Al Sheesh, who couldn't turn home the first, and then Hume crossed in, but Edmondson was in the way.
I tell you what a game we have. I still can't call it at the moment. Obviously you would think that Ipswich are going to go on and see this game out, but the way that Sunderland have stepped it up and just creating chances now, we've still got an exciting end. You said both teams score towards the end. Well, Ipswich have done it, and Sunderland look like they certainly want to.
Well, more than 25% of Sunderland's league goals this season have come in the final 15 minutes. 10 league goals in the final 15 this season for them. They are 2-1 down, and great credit to Ipswich for coming from behind to lead on TalkSport 2. Both these sides' next 2 games are live with us. Sunderland against Hull on Friday, and Ipswich away at Leicester in the clash of the top 2 on Monday. But in many ways, I think this is a much more important game for Ipswich than that Leicester match.
Yeah. I mean,
in a sense.
Yeah, no, I know exactly what you mean in terms of points, because Leicester, it is Leicester +1. It will be. But, you know, there's some big games coming up. I think every game is absolutely massive. They just want to try and keep Southampton at arm's length as much as possible. And I think what's important is to get the win here, so they don't go into Leicester thinking we need a win as well to stay second.
Taylor's run 30 yards over the halfway line, but his pass is behind Sarmiento, who couldn't reach it. Out of play for a Sunderland throw in the right back position. TalkSport 2. The home of the EFL and the network, the only national broadcasters to bring you live commentaries of the EFL. We're the only place for the big games and the important goals and the huge moments across another wonderful season so far. And another Ipswich free kick, yard infield or so from the near side touchline, left wing position, Davis over it. We've seen this already.
Pick up the big man.
Yes, Connor Chaplin.
The
all
big
5
little man.
feet 6 of him. And Broad heads forward, and Taylor's there, and Edmondson and Wolfenden are up from the back. And Sarmiento's lurking too. This free kick is slightly further back, not quite level with the edge of the 18-yard box, this one, but again, Davis, who's into double figures for assists in the league this season, whips it in high, left-footed, Chaplin again, far post, hit the bar from Wolfenden. What a delivery from Davis. Chaplin's glancing touch. Wolfenden had to score, but he hit the woodwork.
Oh, what a ball from Leif Davis. I was very careful how I chose my words when I talked about the cross leading to the goal. Actually, it wasn't a great word, but it was a good cross. That was a wonder ball in, because it's such a difficult ball to put it in between the back four of Sunderland and the goalkeeper as well, but it went right across the goal, and Wolfenden, well, that would have been game over, but he's hit the bar. Sunderland still in this game,
and it's lofted forward downfield by Neil towards Al-Shish, hooked away by Edmondson. Ipswich 2, Sunderland 1. 9 minutes of normal time to go plus stoppage time. What a thriller we've got here on your home of the EFL. As I say, lots of football like this to come between now and the end of the season, and then the playoffs and everything to do with that. Sliding tackle, Sarmiento and Hume both went in for the 50-50. Referee's got a decision to make. The free kick goes the way of Ipswich Town, and Hume is going to be yellow carded here. And Sunderland are going to make a change very shortly, and Sarmiento and Hume both down, and both might need to receive some treatment. Scott Minto's got the binoculars. What can you see, Scott?
I can see a referee with a yellow card in his hand, and it's going to be interesting to see who he gives this to, because it was one of those that was almost just a good old-fashioned 50-50, 2 players going in. But what we did see afterwards was, look, I'm sure it hurt both of them, but both rolling around as if they've been shot.
Well, he did give the free kick to Ipswich, so surely the yellow card will be for Hume. And it is for Hume.
Again, I just think that was a proper 50-50.
I thought that too.
2 committed players going for it.
Was either player late, particularly?
I didn't think so.
To his feet gets Sarmiento, and applause, generous applause from 4 sides of Portman Road. Now then, Sunderland are going to make a substitution here, as we mentioned, and it's the turn of Pritchard to leave the field, and Nazari Rusin, the Ukrainian, is now coming on, and the boos for the former Norwich man Pritchard, whose team are 2-1 down and seeking equaliser. Otherwise it'll be back-to-back defeats, and the 3rd defeat under Michael Beale in 6 matches it would be. Rusin, I think, might go up the middle here. And now Sarmiento back on his feet, as I say. Hume back on his feet as well. Neither team are reduced in terms of players. No treatment needed as Davis heads the ball infield towards Sarmiento, who immediately back into the action and couldn't get it under control. Sunderland clear upfield, high towards Rusin. Scoop downfield towards the opposite end by Edmondson. And Hume getting in a mess, playing the ball square. 2 defenders leaving for each other. It's come to Chaplin! Deflected wide, and Ipswich wants a penalty for the late challenge by O'Nien on Hutchinson. And Kieran McKenna rages towards the 4th official.
It's a pen. It's a pen. You give a pen. I know that he's just played on and then there was an opportunity, but you'd much rather, if you just press pause just as that shot was about to come in, you'd still take the penalty over that.
Ipswich cannot believe it. Martin Pert, the the first team coach, Lee Grant, and Kieran McKenna is absolutely fuming.
Look, Sam Allison has had a really good game refereeing this game, and I don't want to be overly critical, but again, I talk about what would you want at the point of shooting, a penalty or still someone who's about to shoot with a defender and a goalkeeper in front of him?
Well, this time it's Broadhead who'll take it, and this time it'll be right-footed, and so in-swinging, aiming to go right underneath the crossbar here maybe. Ipswich Town. Broadhead against his old side. 2-1 they lead. 5 to go. Into the box, headed away by Bellingham. It's dropped down to Ball of Ipswich Town. Cushioned header towards the right-hand side. Hutchinson gets there. Dinks the ball forward towards Ball again. Ball has kept it in play on that far side, about 10 yards from the corner flag. Back to the number 10, Chaplin, who's playing with great confidence and verve now. Chaplin, little back heel towards Ball down by the dead ball line, but he's blocked off this time, and the ball is shepherded out of play and behind, and that'll be a goal kick to Sunderland on the far side of the field as we look at it. Good work by Dan Neil to keep the ball from staying in play. And now Sunderland looking for an equaliser again. 4.5 minutes of normal time to go on TalkSport 2. Clark peeling back into his own half and having to dart away from 2 in blue and play it back to Ballard. And Sunderland just don't seem to have the finishing touch in the game. But if Ipswich don't win the game, Scott Minto, there'll be massive controversy about that penalty that should have been but never was.
Absolutely. I mean, just on the Sunderland thing, I mean, they have played well and they have tried to attack as much as possible, but they haven't had a shot on target in the second half. I think they'll be disappointed with that, but absolutely, for me, that should have been a penalty.
Alisi's early ball towards the edge of the box, and Ekwa touches it on, forward towards Rusin. He can't reach it, though. It was intercepted by Wolfenden before it could fall to the feet of the front man. And now Chaplin, midway inside Sunderland territory, has turned away from Neil and left him on the ground. 4 in blue surging forward. Chaplin to his right and Hutchinson. Hutchinson one-on-one with Ballard, who came across and did exceptionally well. Because if he didn't make that challenge, if he was late to it, then Ipswich were in for a third.
Do you know what? It was fantastic skill from Chaplin. It really was, the way 2 Sunderland players went one way, he went the other. Just that in the end, wasn't the best of passes for Hutchinson, but he is a class player, isn't he, Connor Chaplin? Just earlier on, he went past 2 players, and instead of whipping the ball in, he played it back outside because his game management head was like, no, let's keep this in the corner as much as possible. He really has lifted himself from League One to the Championship extremely well.
And he's certainly playing with great confidence tonight. Hume's cross from the right for Sunderland, cannons off the back of Davis and out of play for a Sunderland throw. Live with the edge of the 18-yard area. Rusin, who's come on to play up front, hasn't had a touch really just yet. Al-Shish pops it back to Neil. Ipswich with everybody back behind the ball here. 2.5 minutes of normal time to go now. It's nervy in Suffolk. Ipswich looking for what would be a first win in 6 in the league. Haven't lost many in that run, but plenty of draws. Here's Ekwa down by the dead ball line, faced up by Taylor. Ekwa wriggles away from Taylor. Again, he's led with the edge of the Ipswich penalty area. Pops it back with the outside of his foot to O'Nine, who swings it in right-footed, cleared away on the volley by Wolfenden. Out of play for a Sunderland throw, quickly taken by O'Nine. 1 or 2 Ipswich players actually switched off there, but Sunderland couldn't make anything from the throw, and it's actually now an Ipswich throw in their left-back position. 2-2 at St James's Park. Newcastle against Manchester City. Kevin De Bruyne, his first goal since his return for Manchester City's equaliser. And 2-1 to Ipswich here against Sunderland, and a change of pace coming up. And it looks like both number 11s taking to the field. Joe Bellingham goes off. Mason Burstow, on loan from Chelsea, onto the field for Sunderland. And for Ipswich, off goes Broadhead, and on comes Marcus Harness, who is a regular off the bench.
Yeah, look, like for like, and Harness, very good player, of course. Mason Burstow, not only ex-Chelsea, but ex-Charlton.
Yes, well, on loan from Chelsea, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely, and I'd love to see him do well. It was always a big step going from Charlton to Chelsea, but he certainly needs minutes on the pitch in the Championship.
Hasn't had a lot of them of late.
No, he hasn't.
And there's been a lot of talk about that.
He's worked hard, but ultimately he's a striker, isn't he? He's going to be judged on goals, and it's not happened for him.
The ball is back with the Sunderland goalkeeper Patterson. Last 50 seconds of normal time. Ipswich 2, Sunderland 1, and the cheers from the home supporters as Ballard misplaces a pass. And a throw to Ipswich midway inside Sunderland territory. Harry Clark will take the throw, far side of the field, the cobbled stand side of Portman Road, and that's where some of the Ipswich fans are starting to get to their feet now, as the ball is played back to Wolfenden. all the way back to goalkeeper Hladky. Hladky has looked a bit uncertain today. Mostly been very good for Ipswich, in fairness, in goal this season. Pumped forward by Taylor, high up the right-hand channel. Chaplin will chase it. At least he had about a 10-yard head start on that. Back to the goalkeeper it goes. Patterson has to be careful playing out from the back, and he does. He feeds Ekwa. Quickly square out to the left, and Elise. Back to Ballard. Elise again in the left-back spot. Drives the ball long, up the middle for Sunderland. Goalkeeper comes out to the edge of his penalty area, and he's hacked it high into the stands. 5 minutes of added time here. Scott Minto, here we go.
Absolutely.
You can feel the nerves in Portman Road.
You can, and when I said ex-Chelsea, I mean, I'm on loan from Chelsea. It would be a big moment for him to get an equaliser for the club that he's on loan for.
Well, it would, because he's not scored for Sunderland, Mason Burstow, either, but Ipswich have taken the chance. Magnificent header from Connor Chaplin, and it's 2-1. Really good game.
It's been a really
tight game, really, hasn't it?
It's been, do you know what, at 1-1 you weren't quite sure which way it's going to go, and even at 1-1 Sunderland were trying their best to create some chances, but the second half I do think Ipswich have stepped it up a bit, and the only way that Sunderland could score was kind of under pressure, then suddenly on a counter-attack. Had that wonderful chance, of course, by Al-Chichi to make it 2-1, and he will be ruining that, and also the foul he gave away that led to 2-1 for Ipswich.
Yes, it's not been a sterling caddy off the bench. Not yet, anyway. Who knows? Could change for him, but there's only 3 minutes of stoppage time to go. 1 of 4 has been played. 1 of 5 has been played. There are 4 added minutes to go. Ipswich 2, Sunderland 1 on TalkSport 2. Got 5 added minutes. We've had 90 seconds of it. Clark down the far side, the left, plays the ball backwards and infield to Neil. Neil steers the ball high and long, and way too long for Burstow. Ekwa's up there as well, but he couldn't reach it. Goal kick to Ipswich, and actually 1 or 2 blue seats starting to appear at Portman Road.
Well, I don't care if Mason Burstow was on the shoulders of Ekwa there. He wouldn't have reached that.
The shoulders of 2 players.
It's just, again, when you just a few minutes to go, you're in injury time, you're in the final third, you actually had no pressure on the ball either. You've got to put a good cross in. It really was poor.
Poor clearance by Hladky, equally weak bit of control by Hume of Sunderland, and Sarmiento wriggles forward to win the throw. Kieran McKenna applauds, and no doubt Kieran McKenna, who spoke about this as a very important game, the home league game that Sunderland have got to enjoy this month. They have an FA Cup tie against Maidstone here at Portman Road before the end of January, but in terms of home league matches, this one's a rarity for them at the moment, and he said his team will be well prepared, fully motivated, and that they have been, and they're 2.5 minutes away from going back into second and 3 points clear of Southampton.
Yeah, I just think it's really important for Ipswich psychologically. Again, still plenty of battles to come from now to the end of the season, but to get 3 points in today, if they hadn't have done, if they'd have lost, obviously Southampton would have been into second, but with Leicester coming up as well, you'd probably take a draw in that particular game. Southampton would expect to win. I think it might be Swansea who they're playing. So, and then you've got the FA Cup, so you've got a couple of weeks where they might not have been in that automatic promotion place. Very important, just coming up to that FA Cup game, they stay second and say to Southampton, listen, you're going to have to come out and carry on with something special for what you're doing at the moment if you want to try and grab our place.
Off goes Connor Chaplin. He gives the captain's armband to Luke Wolfenden, and Axel Tuansebi, the central defender, comes on. Centre defender / right back, but I'm sure it'll be 5 at the back now for Ipswich for the final 90 seconds of added time. Ipswich 2, Sunderland 1. Chaplin's goal separates them. Harness is down by the corner flag. That was a shove, surely, by O'Neill. No, says the referee. There were 2 balls on the pitch all of a sudden. Sunderland take the goal kick, and we're back underway, but Sunderland have hardly got any time to get an equaliser, and they could give the ball away here on the edge of their own box. In the end, Neil kept his calm, played it back to O'Neill, quickly to the right back position, and Hume. And a miscontrol by Al-Shish. Has the ball gone out of play? The assistant puts up the checkered flag. It has gone out of play. It's a throw to Ipswich Town, and Al-Shish has had a bit of a nightmare.
You said that, not me. I mean, the Ipswich press was really, really good, but the way Sunderland got out with 1-2 touch was excellent. The ball to Al-Shish wasn't the best, but neither was his touch either.
Sunderland about to suffer back-to-back defeats. Harry Clark for Ipswich trying to bundle his way forward down the far side to the right. Elise came across. Ipswich have managed stoppage time very well. They've got the ball via a throw midway inside the Sunderland half, far side, and there are only 30 seconds of the allotted 5 left. Now we've got 2 balls on the pitch again. One of them is chucked out of play by Clark. Sunderland, maybe, body language-wise, look a beaten side here. They might get a little more than the 15 seconds officially left to find an equaliser, because we did have that stoppage, but not much more than that. Forward by Edmondson from just inside the Sunderland half, hammering it high. Ball takes a bounce and it'll drop into the gloves of Patterson. We've had the 5 added minutes. Added time on TalkSport 2. Sunderland still persists with playing out from the back. Long eventually goes Luke O'Neill. Up towards Burstow. Edmondson there with a thumping header to get it away from danger. All eyes on the referee, and still the whistle doesn't go. Sam Addison eventually blows the final whistle.